What's good? I bought this property about 8, 9 years ago. We just call it 10. But I ain't really done nothing with it, since I bought it, until about 2 years ago. And I was talking to, my daughter when we all lived together, and I was like, "You want a horse?" She was like, "Yeah, she want a horse." Well, some things happened after that, and yeah, some things just happened after that. But she was missing out the equation for a while. But later on, you know, I got an extra job doing deliveries, just a little gig doing deliveries here and there. And one of the people I delivered to, she had horses. And I was telling her a little bit about my property and, I was thinking about getting 2, 3 horses. And she was like, "Yeah, it doesn't really sound big enough. Like the property's big enough, but you have to cut down some of the trees." And my daughter really likes trees, so I tried to keep a lot of trees out here. I did have an excavator come out and take out all the small trees, and they did leave some holes and stumps, and I spent almost a year, almost a year burning down, the piles of brush that I had piled up by the excavator. But I knocked it out, and at this point, I've been cutting down the trees myself. At this point, I've just been doing everything by hand. But after we removed a lot of the brush, it looked like, the place looked like it should be a park. And it's a pretty good size. 2.5 acres is not a whole lot of land, but the way it's designed, I guess it seems larger than what it is. And also the thing is, this is right in the middle of the city, like between the busiest street in town and Main Street. And it's a lot of wildlife, a lot of deer, uh, squirrels, all kind of wildlife. Uh, Seen hawks this year for the first time. But yeah, I was actually really surprised at, how much wildlife was right here in the middle of the city. And, I do have plans on developing this property, but I want to develop it in a way in harmony with nature. Because, you know, the thing I find fascinating about the property is right in the middle of the city and the diversity of nature that's just right here. I'm also, not big on using any kind of chemical pesticides or herbicides. Everything pretty much is done by hand or naturally. So I'm just been trying to figure out the best way to include everything. Uh, but again, this was really a project, with my daughter, because originally the plan was I was just going to put her a couple horses over here. And then, when she gets older, I was going to let her develop the property. She hadn't been able to be around and be a part of the process for a while. So I started just kind of clearing the canvas and still, want to let her paint the picture. I'm probably going to do a little bit of painting myself at this point, but, I'm working towards, getting everything cleared out. And pretty much like, say, 80% there, 80% on the clearing part. 80, 90% is not really a whole lot more. It's just some stuff that's grown back up. And like I said, I hadn't been using any pesticides, herbicides to kill stuff back. And that's a lot of area to work for one person, especially when that's not your full-time job. So that's pretty much what I've been working on with that as far as just clearing things out. I got a little ways to go, but it's not really far. After that, I'm start, removing some of the debris and trash I found out here, or people dump in between. But I guess the next step is last year I planned on naming this place after my daughter, And some things kind of fell through with that, and there was some confusion brought into the situation, and there was some confusion brought into the situation. But the thing is, God told me at one point to come back out here and start working on this because nobody was around. I, that my cousin and several other people told me my daughter was dead. I just did not want to believe that, and it's not true. So, but yeah, I guess I was going through something with that whole situation when I started working out here by myself. This is just how I kept my sanity working on this property. But I got offered some money for the property by several people, but it's not really enough money to buy what I see it can be. And the fact that people want to buy it from me kind of means like at this point you see what it can be, or especially when people tell you your own plans back to you and like, yeah, I would invest in that, but that's kind of like exactly what I planned on doing to begin with the property I already own. So maybe I should just go on further with my own plans, with my own property myself. Because, like, I've been making this happen myself to begin with. And I mean, I hadn't been begging nobody for no kind of support, actually, at all. Like, I hadn't asked anybody for any kind of money or help doing anything. I just do this by myself in my own free time. But I do see where it can really be something. And I think it'll be something really good for my daughter. I mean, yeah, I call it a park. She calls it her campground. She ain't never even been camping over here, so that's on between her and her mama on how this got to be a campground. But I don't know. But the thing is, it's getting a little closer to doing some development. And like I said, I want to keep any development I did like in harmony with nature, because the nature in a park like setting is really like what I was aiming for. So I'm getting a little further, but this property ought to really, in real life, generate enough money to take care of her for the rest of her life and have her pretty much set up. And like Proverbs says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. So keeping this property, I'm pretty sure her kids, will basically be able to maintain a good life after, off of what I've started building over here. I've had some plans drawn up, and yeah, they sent me back the wrong thing. They put like a subdivision here. At this point, it looks like I'm just going to design everything myself. At some point, my daughter will come in, and I like her to throw in her 2 cents. But I'm just going to move a little further on with clearing things out and getting things ready, because I really think this is going to be a good thing. This is like building a family legacy, a family business you can be proud of. I also am trying to build something here for the community, to have a community space, to teach people about herbal medicine and just to view nature. And probably gonna do like a butterfly garden and a woodland garden, and a little space for maybe a community garden and to grow some vegetables or something out here too. As long, along with some type of business, maybe a farmer's market or some type of retail store. Then maybe move on and put some cabins or something out here. Do like an Airbnb or something. But I don't want to just overcrowd it. Like I could put like almost 100 something apartments out here, and that'd probably make a lot more money. But that probably would ruin the integrity of what I was trying to do. There's probably I have looked at some ways of doing, apartments or like narrow lot houses, and to make it work and still maintain, you know, nature. And okay, I'm walking up on Main Street, and this is in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Uh, this area up here is a lot more open than towards the back, which I like towards the back for like the woodland garden purposes, because there's already trees out there for a woodland garden. But the area up front is already more clear, so this is probably the area I'm gonna probably start developing and put a building up on, up in this area up here. But this is my property, and I think this is gonna be a multi-million dollar business at some point. But you got to build it up from the ground up. I already own the property, and I'm putting in the work to clear it. So the next step, shouldn't be that hard for the next generation, especially when I'm gonna do a whole lot more. This is just, it takes time to build things from the ground up.